leaks have indeed been happening with the early access for Modern Warfare 2's campaign. Today and tomorrow we'll be breaking down some of the key stuff here just to keep it more focused on specific features, but in this first one I want to talk about camos because we may have actually had our first look as to what's upcoming for real this time. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2. We've got so much you won't want to miss here over the coming days to weeks, leading up to launch and then beyond, of course, with all things Modern Warfare 2. If you'd like to join us on the road to 500,000 subscribers, I'd love to have you. And finally, check out my friends at G Fuel, who've bumped up code Espresso to 30% off your entire order in celebration of the launches, but that link's in the description below if you're interested. For now, let's talk about these camos. Now, yes, we have seen air quote leaks before, and also what seems to be other credible leaks for camos. It's something we've seen a couple of times, and honestly, I get it. Camos are exciting. As somebody that likes to grind out stuff, this is probably what I'm most excited to learn about and learn more about how we'll unlock these, what all will be available, and so on. I'm stoked to have something to straight up grind for the first time since like January in the COD space, from back when I finished Atomic and when it was finally not bugged. So recently we've talked about two leaks, one we debunked, one we kind of heard out with more credible backing, but today what we see comes from, well, Modern Warfare 2's campaign in the early access, but instead this wasn't something that was data mined. In fact, you yourself could have and perhaps still can see this if it hasn't been patched just yet. Now, I had heard that there was going to be a fix here for this to prevent it in the future, so it is possible by the time this video goes up, it might not be possible to do this anymore, but it was actually pretty easy to end up doing. For some reason, every time there's the ability to bypass certain locks within a beta, offline screen, things like that, and this time around it was simply just pressing the F12 key. Usually we'll see this like accessible in the PS5 version where you have to plug a keyboard into your inputs here and then do it from there. But not many people ever really do that, plugging in a mouse and keyboard into PlayStation 5, and if you do, you'd get some wild input lag sometimes. But this time, it was available to do that on any platform, even PC, where, you know, mouse and keyboards are usually always plugged in, so you quite literally just had to hit F12 and you could take a look at a few big things. All the weapons, new perk changes, the firing range, and many things like that, but for our discussion here today, camos. Now, admittedly, the camo UI was pretty horribly optimized, but to me, that's kind of to be expected. It's pulled up in a way that's not meant to be. It's not formatted to be accessed this way, and it's missing a major day one patch, presumably, which explains a lot, which we'll talk about in just a second. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about these camos. So what we see here on offer is a massive display of like 180-ish camos in the game files. All of the icons, if you scroll through, are of course placeholder icons. That's the Modern Warfare 2019 Call of Duty Endowment Pack camo icon. So every single one of those, that's not what the icon will look like in game, but it's just, again, a placeholder. Again, the UI is incredibly buggy. If you were to scroll over, you'd have to scroll over past like multiple scrolls of nothing before you get to the rest of the camos. You could only access and view these things by scrolling on a mouse and hovering over these things. Otherwise, if you were doing it with a controller, it wouldn't access it, wouldn't preview it for some reason. Some of the camos are repeats and or are placeholders. Like, there's a ton of exactly the same camos from Modern Warfare 2019. There's probably plenty of brand new ones as well, but if you notice some that are exactly the same, they are. Those ones likely will not be in the full game, but the ones that obviously won't be coming are the placeholder camos with actual placeholder textures that say do not use. But if I'm honest, that kind of goes hard, doesn't it? Like, that'd be really cool to have as a camo, I'd say at least. Yeah, it would kind of be like a meme, but I'd rock that. But beyond that, beyond what we just see here, we of course have our categories of spray paint, digital, dragon, geometric, fun, stripes, tiger, reptile, skulls, solid colors, classics, one called M, nothing more, nothing less, foliage, and special, which the special is the CDL camos. But then all of that, of course, goes to your completionist camos. Now, all of those had 12 camos each, some are blank, which those are the ones that appear to be the leftover Modern Warfare 2019 camos, perhaps. So I'm curious to know how this will be formatted if there actually are 12 camos per category. That'd be quite a bit of grinding. We had 10 within Modern Warfare 2019 as well as Vanguard. So if they're trying to top it, I mean, I'm all for it, but I'm curious how that will work out. You had a couple that really were pretty cool. I honestly like the solid colors whenever I scrolled through these. There were a couple that had some more fun designs, nicely labeled and part of that fun category. And then you had classics. The one that stood out to me was Spectrum Camo. Not a blueprint like we had in Modern Warfare 2019, but dude, if they bring back Spectrum Camo, that will be the one that I rock on every single weapon anytime. Don't care. Well, that is until at least we get to the Mastery camos, which, talking about those, we ended up seeing 3 Mastery camos here. There were, again, 12 different camos for the air quote completionist category, but they were repeated. So you had 2 rows of 6, but 1 and 4 were the same, 2 and 5 were the same, 3 and 6 were the same for both rows 1 and 2. But you had your sort of gold, platinum, and what may be like polyatomic. It didn't look like that space camo that was previously described, but it's kind of like a static dark matter ultra, it looked like. All of these, though, looked pretty cool, if you ask me. It seemed to kind of have a more glassy texture, something that isn't necessarily so much matte finishes. The coverage looked pretty good. It covered the entire gun, though there really wasn't anything in terms of animations if you're looking for something like that. And for the most part, they're relatively just static colors. They don't have too much in terms of textures or patterns or anything like that that really differentiate it too much. But from a first glance, as I would expect first draft of these camos, they're not too bad. I definitely think that I'd want them improved, but personally, me speaking, I'd grind these out. But that said, what else is there to add into the conversation? Well, firstly, in terms of those Mastery camos, that matches up somewhat with what we've heard so far. From Metaphor's leak, his source apparently has a great track record and, of course, has supplied him with quite a bit of information that has checked out so far. But these so far seem to be on par, but notably, there's only 3 of them when Metaphor said there would be 4. So I'd be very curious to know what that 4th one is, if it comes something a little bit later on down the line, how these all stack up and what comes of it. And of course, time will tell. We're only a week away from the launch of the game and when we have these definitive answers, but now only seeing 3, if nothing is changed, which by the way, as we'll touch on in a second, these can change. There is still the possibility this is still a very early build, that it could be something that is just a placeholder, like we've talked about before on the channel. Don't want to beat a dead horse. I've played games less than a week before launch, where the camos that are showcased in the Mastery sections are not at all what was actually showcased in the game as the earnable camos. But my mind immediately goes to, well, if there's 4 supposedly at launch, we only see 3. What are the odds that we have something kind of hidden as a camo, where you don't actually see that overall Mastery camo until you actually obtain it and earn it? Something kind of like a hidden camo, akin to the nuke being a hidden kill streak. You can't just in Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard, and all that, select it in your kill streak category like you could in Modern Warfare 2. Instead, you have to get the 25 kills. You actually have to complete the criteria for the nuke before you actually see it and can use it. So what if that is something that we see now within the camo aspect of stuff? Obviously, again, time will tell, but interesting to consider, and that might actually account for why we haven't seen that 4th and final one if these do hold up. Now, coming back to it, like I mentioned, a lot of these are likely going to be changed, removed, adjusted, if not all of them. One thing that we are missing right now is a day 1 patch. Right now, all we have on offer is the campaign packs available for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox can actually pre-download. I think PlayStation's actually coming up on it too if they can't already. That might have been today. But every single year we end up having a day 1 patch that ends up finalizing things, that adds the final last second tweaks to the game, that makes it the full build that they want to push out to the live environment. Right now, what we have is not that. So it is very possible that we see some of these things change, but for right now, it's a pretty good indication as to what's upcoming if you ask me. And for that, I'm all for it. Now, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be covering a little bit more here in regards to some other stuff, some weapons and things like that. But I want to talk a little bit about camos because for me, that again is probably what I'm the most excited for here to grind out and actually jump in and experience more, learn more about. So maybe you're the same way, but wanted to fill you guys in on this here and the information that came out of today. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys liking the look of these camos? Do you hope that some of these do in fact come? Do you like these solid colors camos? Do you like the return of Spectrum camo? Do you like some of the other things that maybe we didn't touch on that you saw scrolling through? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2. We've got so much upcoming still, so make sure you're here for all of it. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.